All right, so as I said to you a moment ago, I have invited a former student, Ginny Luke, who had this same class that you're now embarking on a couple of years ago. She had exactly the same syllabus that you're going to be using, reading the same works, and basically taking the same quizzes and essay topics. So I've asked Ginny to sort of comment in general on how she found the course, what she liked about it, and any advice she might want to give. So, Ginny, what have you got to say?
Well, this was one of the first English classes that I took at UGA, and I definitely loved it. It really sparked my love of Old English literature, of the history of medieval Europe, and I've taken several courses with Dr. Evans since then. I just took a course on Beowulf, and I absolutely loved it. I first read it in high school and then read it again in this class, and I think I loved every single thing that we read in this class. My particular favorites were some of the poems and the elegies. I actually got a tattoo of Deor that we read.
Let me zoom in on that. Just if you'll stretch your arm out flat. Okay, I'm going to go right on into it. Okay, I'll wait for the focus to focus. I think it's going to focus. There we go. Excellent. That's the tattoo. All right. Back out. Okay.
Deor was definitely my favorite poem that we read. The way that I approached this class, we didn't have Wi-Fi at my house, so I would every 2 or 3 times a week I'd go up to the library, and I would, sit down. I would watch the lecture video for the week and take notes on it, on things that I wanted to read, or things that I was going to read that week, and then go home for the rest of the week, do the reading, and then think about the essay prompt as I was reading. And then at the end of the week, I would, write my essay, and I would go up to the library and post it, sort of thing. And it was really important at the beginning of the week to stay on top of all of the class discussion postings. Those really helped to get me out of my sort of train of thought that maybe I was stuck in. I love to read, what other people had to say, and it definitely gave me a lot of ideas of things that I definitely wouldn't have thought of on my own.
So you found the discussion postings. Everybody was required to post what?
It was
2 comments a week.
2 comments and a question.
And a question, yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. And then other people could respond to that if they wanted to. I'll just say to sort of off camera here that I didn't monitor those things very closely at all. I really wasn't looking over everybody's shoulder to see, what were they saying. I really wanted it to be as free a forum for discussion as possible, and I think I was able to preserve that sort of, not anonymity, but that preserve the freedom of it so people could just talk online, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So people won't think this is just a puff piece where I basically paid you $50 to come and say this is the most fantastic experience I ever had. Is there anything that you might say by way of suggestion that maybe I might have improved the course, or maybe would have made it a better course for people, or some suggestions for how they can deal with some of the let me ask it another way. What was the most unsatisfying or complicated or difficult part of the course for you, Ginny?
Well, really, I didn't find anything. I know this feels contradictory to your thing about it not being a puff piece, but I didn't really find anything challenging about the course. The only thing was, because I took it over the summer, it was often hard to stay on top of things if I was, going on vacation with my family for the week. So it's best to not do things the day that they're due. Definitely do them in advance, because there's a lot of work to do if you're just doing it the day that it's all, you're supposed to turn it in, then it's a lot of work. But if you stay on top of it, it's a lot easier, and if you do things as much in advance as you can, that definitely helps.
Okay, and maybe one last question. Maybe I'll think of another last question. But to me, looking at the course, the way I designed it, and trying to look at it from the standpoint of the student, what I would think would be the hardest part about it would be the detailed quizzes, the number of quizzes and the number of quiz questions. It gets pretty detailed. How did you deal with that?
Gosh, I do remember the quizzes being tough. The best thing, honestly, was just to have the book open right there in front of me And even if I just could not, for the life of me, find something there, I'd have a second search tab open just to try to find some sort of answer.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, the understanding here is that this is an online course, and you're able to do it in the privacy of your own home or apartment or lake house or at summer camp or wherever you are doing this thing, and theoretically you have at your disposal all the reading materials for the book or for the course as you're taking the quizzes. And theoretically, you've got the whole internet open as well, so that if you have a really hard question, you might be able to find the answer online somewhere and post it. Now, one of the issues there, one of the problems is that these are timed quizzes, and you don't have all the time in the world. So, you got to keep moving, and if you're having to look everything up online or everything up in the book, you're probably going to get behind and not be able to finish the quiz, which would have a negative impact on the grade for the quiz. Does that make any sense at all to you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I never really ran into that problem of having to just look every single one up.
Because you'd read in
Yeah.
advance.
Yeah, as long as you'd done the readings, then it was pretty easy to follow along with the quizzes.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And then finally, so what kind of I can't remember. What grade did you get for that?
Oh, I got an A.
You got an A.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good. So people who take the Ginny Luke approach to the class, who follow the advice she's given and stay up on it and don't get behind, I mean, you have every reasonable expectation of being able to hope for an A.
Yep.
Would be my assessment. Any final remarks you want to make that have occurred to you while we've been talking? You're talking to your fellow students who are following along in your footsteps.
Going into this, I wasn't sure it was going to be my cup of tea, but after I'd read into everything and, really just, I fell in love with all the literature. So definitely, even if you are going in not sure, oh, this is really, really old stuff, it's going to be super boring, don't go in with that mindset, because it'll, it could change your whole opinion.
Fantastic. All right. Thanks, Ginny. And I'm sure that your audience out there around the country or wherever they are thanks you too.